everybody, welcome once again to the Spartan Sports Report here on TV3. Sam and I are happy to have Andrea join us, Andrea Van Meter, who is the new athletic director of CHS. And hi, Andrea.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm great. I appreciate you coming back. I wasn't sure after last week.
After last week,
whether or not you would
we
be
weren't too
showing
tough
up
on
or
you.
not,
You
but
weren't
we
too tough.
appreciate it. Yeah. Sam, you guys saw a pretty good ball game
A tremendous ball game.
Friday night.
It was great. Great crowd on hand and a lot of excitement. Just a great night for high school football. And Spartans either trailed or were tied for most of that game, but pulled it out when they needed to. And it was just exciting. We hadn't beaten Franklin County since 2014 and haven't beaten them too many times anyway, but we got to bring the water keg back home with us as the traveling trophy, and it kind of quieted the crowd down a little bit. It was great.
Nice facility, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, I like to say that, of course, where we sit, you can look to the north and see the Brookville Dam, and it's the best facility by a dam site. So.
Andrea, I know you're proud of the kids.
Sure, yeah, they played very well. Started off a little slow, but there towards the second half, they definitely found something. I don't know what Coach Lynch did at halftime, but they found something there in the locker room and came out ready to go, and they weren't taking any prisoners at that point. So even the fans in the stands, that was awesome to see. Actually, we didn't have enough seats. I guess at 6:30, there weren't enough seats for everybody to be there. So our whole entire cheer block just stood in front of the stands the whole night because there was not enough room for them to sit down. So
that's wonderful. Not only the football team, but other Spartans fall sports are doing well, aren't they?
Absolutely. The boys soccer team had a good victory over Union County. They won 11-0 on Saturday. The girls soccer team also won.
Good.
With a score of, I believe it was 8-0 on Saturday. Volleyball is playing well. They've had some pretty tough conference competition. I was telling John before we got started, there's some big girls coming from those conference schools, some that are 6'1", 2, and 3. So we're going to run for our money in volleyball. Cross country's running pretty well. Girls golf is doing well. Tennis.
Boys tennis.
Boys tennis, yep. They're competing as well. So, I mean, everything right now is looking pretty positive for us.
I think we mentioned co-ed cross country yet?
Yeah, cross country, yep. They're doing well. They were at Richmond this past weekend. We've got some runners placing in the top 10. So, wish we had more runners on the team. So, hopefully we can recruit some more kiddos to come out. But, yeah, very successful.
That's great. I mean, it's really great that these kids are doing so well.
They are.
And I know it pleases you much.
Yeah, especially they're doing well in the classroom, too. So we've got
that's
a lot
right.
of kiddos that are doing it on the court, on the field, and also in the classroom.
That's first.
Yep, absolutely.
But the other helps to enhance that as well because it makes them disciplined.
It does, and I think the coaches really have high expectations for their athletes. So we got to make sure that they're getting it done in the classroom first.
We took a fan bus, I understand, down to Franklin County. Can we expect more of that, you think?
I hope so. We only had 12 kiddos that signed up to go on the fan bus. It was kind of a last minute kind of throw together. So hopefully this Friday we can continue that. They took the Spartan Express down. Let me think, who was it? Mr. Vaughn and Miss Wilson sponsored the kiddos. So they took them down, rode the bus with them, and then afterwards they stopped at the pizza place there in Franklin County, got some pizza before they came home. So they took the Express down. So hopefully we can get some more kids to head down to Greensburg on Friday.
I hope those dozen kids talk it up.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like fun to me.
Gave them a T-shirt, had some food after the game. What more could you want, right?
That's right.
Now, these youngsters, are they charged extra for that?
Well, we originally had wanted to just kind of find out how many kids we were going to get. So they charged them $5, and basically that was for their pizza and drink. But we had some people sponsor that. And so those kiddos should be getting their money back.
That's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Good game.
Fran, you might want to hop on that bus.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Make room for me, I hope.
Yeah, you don't have to drive.
Speaking of academics again, that's your responsibility. Keep track of how the kids are doing, right? So they remain eligible.
Yep, right before I walked in, I was looking at our list of students that have some not so good grades.
Sure.
Luckily, there weren't very many of our kiddos on that list. So the plan will be this week calling them in, getting a hold of their coaches, and stressing you have to have your grades to be able to compete.
That's such an important part of it, isn't it? Sam?
Oh, it
Sports,
absolutely
right?
is, because it's a school. And
Sure.
school
That's number one.
is doing your studies and making good grades, and sports falls right into that as well. But they're student athletes, and student is first,
That's
and then
right.
athlete.
It's in the biggest print, right?
Yes, it is.
Speaking of the game of Friday night, the Spartans, it was a close game, wasn't it? For 'em most
Yeah,
of the time?
it was close. First quarter we went down 6-0. They came back. Franklin County came back and scored, and went for the 2-point conversion, and made it 14-0. But late, I'm thinking 20-some seconds to go. Maybe it was less than that. We were on the move and were able to score, and go in the locker room at halftime 14-7. I think that was a big lift, because the kids
Sure.
seemed to have a little pep in their step going off the field and then coming back on. They knew that they could penetrate that defense of Franklin County. It was a defensive struggle that first half.
Yes.
Well, the whole game really.
14 points by Franklin County was it for the night.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. To hold them like that, our defense played well.
Evidently, it must have been quite a game for those kids.
Seemed like there were a lot of penalties, but there were a lot of penalties on both sides.
There were. I think first half was more penalties on us, and then something happened in the locker room again, and came back out, and it was more on Franklin County.
Sure.
Some big ones right there at the end.
Right
yeah.
there at the end, and we ended up tying it up, and then able to go ahead with seconds left in the game, and
Then the interception.
And then interception. Braxton Myers jumped up and
That-
hauled in that interception, and that sealed the deal.
That ended Franklin County's scoring for the night.
It did. Made it quiet.
And quieted the crowd.
It did quiet the crowd.
Yes. Yes,
Not
it
ours,
did.
but theirs.
But we were in a good position at being tied late in the game at 14.
Sure.
I mean, the worst that could have happened would at that point would be to go into overtime. But as it turned out, things that ball bounced the right direction, even though they don't bounce as much as some of the balls. But the kids did a good job. It just
Yes.
and Coach Lynch has them confident, is what I see in them. And he likes to talk about gaining respect, and it says that on their undershirts that they wear under their jersey, right down the spine. It says respect, and I think they're gaining respect. I didn't check today. I know the last 2 weeks, preseason and last week, they were ranked in the AP top 20, which I think shows that there's respect for this team.
Sure. Quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, it is.
TV3 was at the game. We have some highlights right now.
Night for football, that's for sure. Franklin County taking it in there and scoring there late in the first period. They went for 2, but couldn't do it. So the Spartan defense held there, and but later Franklin County scores, and 14-0. Spartans get the ball, and nice pass play right there as Spartans go in and get the touchdown with just 3 seconds left in halftime, and I think that was a game changer.
I think so too.
Yes.
If they wouldn't have had that one, I think it would have been a whole different atmosphere in the locker room.
So once again, late in the third quarter, Spartans come back and tie it up. And we saw a lot more passing from the Spartans with the Franklin County game as we did from the Richmond game. So when you can
This right
pass
here
and
was
rush
probably one of the biggest plays of the game, getting that first down. It was very, very close. And
Yeah.
once we got that first down, I think that was just right there, that momentum shift.
as you can see there, good camera work. It was not by much.
No, it was
Football
not.
game of inches, right?
It is. It is. And then another great pass, and the Spartans go ahead. And there's your final 21-14. So it'd been a while since we'd have had possession of that water keg, and
Yep.
it's great to have that. And who knows, maybe we can hang on to it for a while.
Maybe. That'd be
Franklin
great.
County had it too long.
That would be great.
You have room in the trophy case for it?
We do. We'll find
You
room.
found room?
Yeah, we'll find room.
It's a lot of fun. It's good rivalry between the two schools, and you know, during basketball season, there's a traveling trophy then as well. And it's the last several years. It's funny. We'll play Franklin County in basketball, and most times we will win or we'll be winning, and their kids start yelling, "Let's play football." Well, we can say that this year as well.
Can.
So.
We can.
It was quite a victory for the Spartans, and we're looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah.
Greensburg will be taking on the Spartans at Greensburg, and the Pirates are 1-1. So it should be an interesting battle.
I think it'll be a good game. Nice facility down there. Always good to go down there. They treat us well, and hopefully the weather will be good, and we can get off another great game.
Right.
Yep.
This was a conference game with Franklin County, of course, and you might explain how the conference is set up there. That there's 3A and 4A, or I don't know what these fellows were thinking when they decided to have it into two sections instead of like in basketball and the other sports. It's all win-loss thing.
Sure.
But
Well, I think with conference, it's a little bit harder to play all the schools in your conference. Because if you played all the schools in your conference in football, you wouldn't have room for any other
Okay.
schools. So the conferences, we just talked about this a couple weeks back. Instead of being broken up now with 3A, 2A, 4A, you know, those numbers, they're looking at doing I think it's called Legends and Leaders. I think is what they're looking at calling it now.
Okay.
I think they get that from the Big Ten. I'm not sure. That's what I've kind of heard. But they're looking at naming it something different. But
Okay.
the 4 highest enrollment schools are in the 1, and then the lowest enrollment schools are in the
so
lower
that determines
1.
it.
That determines
Okay.
whether, like, who you're going to play. So with us being kind of right there at the top, we'll probably never drop, pending our numbers, but we should probably never drop into the lower division. So we'll always be stuck with the East Central, the Lawrenceburg. The ones that kind of bounce back and forth are your South Dearborn and Greensburg. And sometimes Greensburg and Batesville
they're close.
bounce back and forth too, yes. But we're kind of that number 3. We're solid
Okay.
number 3. So we'll probably always be in that
Okay.
bigger conference compared to the smaller ones.
Well, it's kind of confusing because they have 2 championships in football,
Sure.
and it needs to be explained every so often
Sure.
so folks understand.
Yeah, and we
So-
just kind of went based off of, like we said, enrollment is the biggest issue. And we
okay.
decided to match up with the IHSAA this year. So starting in 2025, every 2 years, we'll look at where we start with our enrollment, and that's kind of where you'll be in the conference for those 2 years. So it could be a scheduling nightmare, especially if you're one of those schools that bounces back and forth. But we've kind of talked about ways that we can make it work.
So it's realignment every couple of years.
Yep. IHSAA does every 2 years.
Okay.
And-
You
but-
heard anything
but-
out of the IHSAA? Are they making any noise or anything that you know of?
Haven't heard anything. What are you alluding to?
Well, I mean, good news is what I'm hoping for.
Sure. No, haven't heard anything different.
Well, that's
so,
good.
Yeah.
I know that they have changed in boys and girls basketball, have changed the format for the tournament, where the regional in the past has been you had to win 2 games in the regional. Well, now you just have to win 1 to move on to semi-state, and there will be 2 games in semi-state.
Okay.
Does that make any
They'll make
sense?
more regional winners,
Okay.
more trophies.
Sure.
Everybody likes trophies.
Okay.
And makes semi-state harder, but semi-state should be harder.
Absolutely, it should be.
Is that effective this coming?
I believe so.
I think so. I think I did see that.
Okay. Here's some of the sports coming up this week at CHS. Girls golf at Richmond on Monday, and JV football home with Franklin County at Spartan Field. The JV team, how are they doing?
They played in their jamboree a couple weeks back. They're pretty solid. I think they should come out tonight and show up and hopefully compete against Franklin County. Hopefully we can get 2 wins against Franklin County instead of just the one. Yeah.
That's usually the way it's scheduled. You play the varsity game on Friday, and then the following Monday you play the JV game.
Yep, either the Saturday or Monday. Yep.
And kids, can they play in both games?
They can. They're limited to 4. If they play varsity, they're limited to 4 quarters.
Okay.
If they play only JV, they can get 6, I think is how that works.
Okay.
So
that's something else you need to take care
yeah,
of.
take the track. Yep, have to track that too.
Well, it keeps you busy since
It
you don't have
does.
anything else to do.
Oh yeah, nothing.
On Tuesday, boys tennis will be at Lawrenceburg, and volleyball will be at Newcastle. Wednesday, volleyball home with Union County. On Thursday, boys soccer home with Wapahani. Boys tennis at Greensburg. Girls golf will be at Newcastle. On Friday night, Spartan football, of course, at Greensburg. On Saturday, varsity volleyball at Rushville. JV volleyball at Hauser. Tennis will be at Richmond. Those are all invitationals, I understand.
Yes, a lot of those are invitationals.
So there'll be a lot of other teams in there.
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
Volleyball. Both of those volleyballs are invitationals.
Okay. Now look at some scores from the area football teams. Centerville is 2-0. They'll be at Park Tudor on Friday. Franklin County is 0-2, home with Rushville on Friday. Cambridge City is 0-2. They're home on Friday with Tri. Richmond is 0-2. They will be at Anderson on Friday. Rushville is 2-0. They'll be at Franklin County on Friday. Union County is 1-1. They're home with Nicetown on Friday. So we want to keep abreast of what's happening in the area.
Sure. Yeah, it looks like the Rushville being 2-0 coming in
That's great.
That could
here
be-
at homecoming. That could be an
That could be
interesting
a
game.
big one if they can knock off Franklin County and we knock off Greensburg. You'd have 2 teams coming in at
That's
3-0
coming
in a
up
couple
Yep.
of weeks,
A
and
couple of weeks,
and
yeah.
so great rivalry.
It is.
goes way back to my time and back to Fran's time.
Yeah, you'll have to be on guard that night.
Absolutely. We go from the south. Now we're going to battle the west.
And that should be a big crowd as well.
Hope so.
And
I hope-
that's- you said homecoming, so that
That'll be
makes
the
it even
homecoming
bigger.
game. Yep. So it should be pretty big.
Especially if the Lions are still doing well and the Spartans are. Why?
Mm-hmm.
It should be
A decent
hard to
matchup.
find a seat.
I like it when the other teams in the conference are doing well because when you win, it makes it
sure.
that much better
It
that you're
does.
playing.
Absolutely.
You're playing quality teams. It just strengthens the whole conference. And if they're strong, then others are going to look at us as we're strong as well.
Agreed.
Centerville is 2-0. Of course, Centerville last year went 10-1, I believe, undefeated during the season. They won a couple of sectional games and finally lost to Indianapolis-Acina in the 3rd round of the sectional. What do you know about Centerville? Their coach, because you were in Wayne County, so
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about the Centerville's coach now. I know last year, 2 of the boys who were on that team that helped with the 10-1 played. Their sister played travel softball with my kids, so
okay.
knew a little bit about the Pamplin boys, is who they are. Very strong
Good
competitors,
Yeah.
competitors on the field. Great academics inside the classroom, but played everything. They did football, they did basketball, and they also played
Yes.
baseball. Actually, I think they went to college to play baseball, not football.
Gee,
But I don't know a whole lot about them this year, but I know Centerville usually has a pretty strong program.
yeah, they did really well last year. That was
Yeah.
unusual for a team like to go that far
Sure.
and everything, but it was good.
And they've moved up in other sports into 3A, so
Yes.
they're growing.
They-
And I think they're getting some Richmond students, and like Northeastern has, that it's easier to transfer than it used to be.
That determines, enrollment determines what class you're in, right?
It does, and
Okay.
that's looked at every single year, or every 2 years is what they look at it.
Are they just barely into 3A, or do you know?
You know, I don't know that for sure. I'm not sure. I think they're solid 3A, because aren't we? We're kind of barely into it, aren't we now?
Well,
at the top.
we could be at the top.
top
at the
of 3A,
we-
lower
we-
part of 4. Okay.
Yeah, just a lot of it, I think, depends on what happens below us with the smaller
Sure.
startup schools, and it changes things, can change things
Sure.
at the top. So there's always possibility every time they realign that we go back in 4A, And when it comes to some sports, boys basketball, for instance, Coach Brown likes to play those schools, both 3A and 4A, that are possible opponents down the road. And it only makes you stronger.
It does. It definitely does.
Andrea, with this hot weather, coaches take precautions with the youngsters during practice and so on, don't they?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah, there's some heat protocol, some heat index protocol that you have to follow. The temperature gets so high, multiple breaks, making sure you're taking them more frequently than what you probably normally would.
Sure.
Just kind of watching your athletes, making sure they're not becoming dehydrated, or like checking the color of their skin to make sure they're not pale,
Sure.
that kind of stuff. But yeah, coaches have to go through trainings to make sure that they know.
also,
Yep.
it's a big responsibility.
It is. There's a lot of responsibilities on coaching. That's why it's so hard to find good coaches anymore.
That's right.
It used to be, well, I say used to be, a while back it seemed like during this time of the season when it was hot, they talked about drinking pickle juice. Is that still a thing?
It is. There's something about the juice that keeps you from getting cramps. So I know of a lot of people who, when they're done with their pickles, they'll bring their pickle juice in and keep it in the fridge in the training rooms. So
Interesting.
a lot of football players usually do use that. I don't know about other players. I'm sure soccer would definitely want that, or any of your runners.
Sure.
But yeah, pickle juice, something about
it.
it.
Doesn't sound good to me, but some people like it.
They make pickle sickles now. They freeze the pickle juice. It's like a pickle sickle popsicle. Yeah.
That doesn't sound.
Doesn't sound any better.
No, it doesn't. I noticed down in Franklin County the other night that there were some kids, and it seemed like more so on the Franklin County side, that were down, and the trainers would come out, and I thought it was good. Our trainer, she does a great job. She went out there as well with the Franklin County trainer, but I didn't know if it was cramps, but it appeared to be cramps with some of those kids.
I think a lot of it is just the water intake. Some of them wait until the day they compete to drink a bunch of water instead of over the course of the week, making sure they're hydrating the correct way. But you'll see them carrying their big gallon jugs of water through the hallways, and that's great. But they need to do it every day, not just the day of. So.
Sure, that's right. That's an important part of it.
It is.
Training, and give congrats to the parents because they watch over their kids pretty closely.
And it's a safety thing as well.
That's true, yeah.
It is.
But in the warm weather, cramps are easy to develop, it seems, in athletes all the time.
They are. You got to be careful, too, with the temperature of water, because, I've always thought, cold water, yes, it tastes good, but sometimes that can actually deter you even more.
It's not good for you either, yeah. Not hot water, but not ice cold either.
Yeah, I would say room temperature, but I don't know that room temperature outside would be very good right now. 90-degree room temperature water, that probably wouldn't taste very good either.
Maybe here in the studio.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice that the coaches keep an eye on that and are very careful with the kids, because any surprises in your job so far?
I don't think so. Not really. Today I was on the IHSA site, and I'm working on sectional rosters now. So, emailing the coaches and making sure the kids have the credits they needed from last year, and, a couple phone calls to the IHSA to make sure I'm doing it correctly. But it's that time of year. Girls golf, their rosters due in less than a week, and moving on then to, I think it's soccer comes next.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that we're that far,
midway
that deep
through.
in the schedules, right?
So it's kind of crazy to think that, but yeah. So that's the biggest thing, is making sure that I'm checking everything. There's so many outlets. There's the final forms with our schedules. With the physicals. We've got the My IHSA that has all the stuff for coaches and athletic directors, and then we've got Power School, which are our kids' grades, and checking that. So there's a lot of places you have to remember to check every single day.
Do you have some help to do this?
I do. I have my assistant athletic director, Damon Havlicek. He does a lot with middle school, but he also helps with the high school stuff, especially with the final forms.
Okay.
And he also does attendance at the high school. So I get him kind of part-time, so I don't get a full-time. And then Katrina Estes is our athletic secretary, and she's on it. So
that's good.
Yeah, Katrina knows what she's doing, and she keeps us going. And There's times I'll just text her and say, hey, Katrina, did you do this? And she's like, already did it, took care of it. I'm like, okay, great, I forgot. So like for tonight, she's got the schedules printed. She turns in the officials for the week, the schedules for the programs for the week. Trisha Osterman, she's one that probably is hidden behind the scenes. I call her Jingle Bell because I need to put a bell on her shoe because she always runs out and I can never find her. She's our treasurer. So she's basically the one that gives me the checks to pay the officials and the workers and pay the bills.
She's pretty important.
She's very important. She's very important. So she's kind of behind the scenes. But, just today she made the comment that we have a swim meet on Wednesday, but we didn't have a check for an official for Wednesday. So just double checks. Yeah.
That's middle school swim meet.
Middle school swimming, yeah. Middle school swims in the fall. So we have a lot of middle school events this week.
How's middle school doing overall?
They're doing okay. I think there's some growing pains here and there, but middle school football is really tough, and I think Lynch has a lot to do with that because he has them practicing near him, and he's really kind of training the coaches. So that program is getting better. Volleyball, they're okay. I mean, they've won some, they've lost some, so I think they're growing, but you can see improvement all of the time with them. And then swimming, this will be their first swim meet. And then the tennis program the middle school tennis program is doing pretty well too. Yeah, and cross country. So the sports, they're rolling.
Are those volleyball games played at the field house?
They play at the arena.
Oh, okay.
So there's actually 4 middle school volleyball games this week. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, they're home, and tomorrow they're away. So they play 4 in a row. So they're going to be tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, very busy.
How much are you involved in the middle school, their scheduling and so on?
Well, technically I'm over all of it.
Okay.
But Mr. Havlicek does a lot with the middle school. So he makes sure the officials are there. Again, we do the paying of the officials, but he makes sure we have them connected and ready to go. He talks to the different coaches about the invites and information they may need. We both take turns supervising those events. Like, I'll be there Wednesday, which helps because my daughter plays volleyball, so it kind of gives me a purpose to go to.
Sure.
But she plays on Wednesday, so I'll be there for that. And then we have middle school football on different days. So we just kind of take turns, but I would say pretty involved overall.
Do you... cheerleaders, do you oversee the cheerleaders or Spartanettes? Or,
Yep. They're part of our thing too. So Spartanettes, we make sure that they have places to practice and what they need to compete. Sandy has been great. Ashley has been great with making sure that their schedules don't conflict with anything, or they can actually have facilities to practice in because there's so many things going on.
Then you got to coordinate the band in there so they have.
Yep. The band. Yep. So we have an app or a system called EventLink, which any community member can get on that.
I get that. Yeah.
Most people have it, and you can see anything, any practice, any time that any of the gyms in the building are being used and what it actually is used for. So it's helpful.
Speaking of the cheerleaders and Spartanettes, these youngsters work as hard as some of the athletes.
They do. They're at a lot of things, especially in the fall and in the winter. They're at all of those at-home events, and they put in a lot of hours.
They add so much to the events, don't they?
Yes, they increase the positivity of the environment. They do.
I know we always enjoy watching these girls and how they conduct themselves and lead the cheers and everything.
And the little ones look up to them.
They do.
My granddaughter, she's a swimmer now, but when she was younger, she just loved watching the cheerleaders, and she would come with the pom-poms.
To be one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Well, Andrea, good luck on these first 2 ball games here, and the Spartans have played, and all the sports involved. So I keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And we'll have victory number 3 with Greensburg. Maybe.
I hope so. And then hopefully you can have Coach Lynch plans to be here on the 13th. So hopefully you'll get a chance to talk to, or the 12th. Sorry. So you'll get a chance to talk to him and pick his brain and.
Great.
He was a great interview the other night.
Yep.
So tickled.
Yeah, I know he's very happy with the kids, and he has so much to do with it.
He does.
Yeah, they look up to him and play hard for him.
And that's a good thing. That's what we want. That's what we want.
Thanks, everybody, for watching this edition of the Spartan Sports Report here on TV3. Andrea, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.